pat someone's back. Pat your back, pat someone's back, and tell them, good job on Good Friday. Good job, guys. Out of the 11 years that I've been in this church, the Good Friday that the youth has sponsored was one of the most feedback responses to the service. I'm telling you, a lot of people were blessed for what you guys done. A lot of people were blessed. And as I was walking down the aisles, I saw many people crying. Good job. Good job on Good Friday. Again, I just want you to turn to someone next to you. Turn to someone next to you. Tell them hi. Welcome them. Say hi to them. Also, turn to someone next to you. Tell them, we're back. We're back. We're back. And not only are we back in our youth, do you guys miss the youth service? It's been two weeks? Too long. Well, we're back, and we're back to our sermon series, Set Your Path. We're back to our sermon series, Set Your Path. And I got this question from my mom. Why are we doing a different series than what the church is doing? We're learning about daring faith, right? Why are we talking about Set Your Path? Now, I want to be personal with you guys. Christianity or our Christian lives, when you live your Christian lives, you think living a Christian life, a good Christian life, you have to love someone else as you love yourself. You have to go to church. You got to pray. You got to lift your hands and worship God. That's what we think how a Christian life should be. We also think like this. For a Christian, you can't swear, right? You can't say some words. You can't drink. You can't do drugs. You can't go disco, disco, boom, boom, boom. You can't, we can't do more than touchy with another person. You can't do this and you can't do that. And sometimes we dilute our Christian lives into rules. Rules. You're a good Christian if you follow the rules. Now, if you're walking your Christian life based on the rules that are set above you, I mean, you're young people. We're younger, we're submissive to the older people of this church, so they kind of put some rules on us, and it's very prevalent in our lives today. Our Christian life, we think it's about rules. You can't do this, or you can't do that. But what I'm telling you is that if you live your Christian life based on the rules, that you can't do this, you can't party, you can't do weed, 420, 421, right? You can't drink, and you're walking your Christian life as only rules. You can't do this and you can't do that. I'm telling you, that is not the path that God wants you to take. A path of rules is not really a path that He wants you to set you in. Let me give you an example. The Pharisees. We all know the Pharisees, right? They lived their lives based on rules. They added more rules on God's rules. They had 600 rules on other rules. They followed their lives on rules, and they think if they follow the rules, they will please God. But what ended up happening is that they followed the rules rather than following God. And that may be some of us today, because we're so impressed with rules, especially at our age, that we think that when we walk a path of rules, when you stand up here, you have to dress this type of way, you have to speak this type of way, you have to act this type of way, following the rules, then we think we're pleasing God. And that's why we're talking about set your path, because I know that there's so many rules that are pressed upon you young people, so they're expected of you, that when you miss one rule, I mean, when you wear ripped pants, your life is done. You're condemned for the rest of your life. You were earring, condemned for the rest of your life. And the rules, they get so heavy on us that we end up not carrying it most of the times, and we end up stopping altogether with our Christian faith. I've seen this time and time again, that a lot of young people left the church because there was too much rules that were pressed upon them, too highly expected of them. I mean, you're just young. You're just young. And that's why we're talking about set your path. Because God, following God, He doesn't want you to have a path full of rules. He wants you to walk a path of faith. Not rules, but of faith. Don't walk on the wrong path. And one of the paths that He indicates to us, one of the wrong paths in our passage that we've been studying for the 3 weeks, one wrong path is called worry. Worry. Turn to someone next to you. Tell them, are you worrying? Are you worrying? Worry is a wrong path. This is the thing. If you walk the wrong path, even though you're so determined, you'll be stressing yourself out walking on the wrong path. And you end up stopping from it. And one path that God says is worry. If you start walking in worry, it gets too heavy on you that goes against your faith and you lose your faith altogether. That's why God gives us 7 steps. 7 steps, and the first step he tells us, verse 25, he says, I tell you not to worry about everyday life. One indication that you start worrying is when you allow things to pull on your lives. I tell you not to worry about everyday life. You worry because there's different outcomes to your life. What if this happens? What if that happens? What if he breaks up with me? What if he talks to this other girl? What if I fail my course? What if I didn't fail my course? And if you allow things to pull on your life, it ends up stressing you out. That's why God is telling you, don't worry about all these little details of your life. It's not to be worried about. Just give it up. Say, it's yours. Give it to God, say it's yours. That's our first step. Our second step, verse 26, look at the birds. Tweet, tweet. Look at the birds, Blue Jays. Look at the birds failing in the... I'm hearing that the Blue Jays are really bad this year. Okay, so don't look at the birds. Look at the birds. They don't plant or harvest food, plant or store food in barns, for your heavenly Father feeds them. Another reason why you worry is because of uncertainty. When you're uncertain about something in your life, then it starts making some type of anxiety in your life. When you're uncertain about an outcome in your life, you start worrying. I mean, going to job interviews, the first thing after the job interview, you start worrying if you get a job. In your exams, I know most of you are in your finals. You're worried if you're going to pass your finals. When you got to the test, you didn't know what to answer in the test, and you start worrying because you're uncertain. But if you start understanding that your life and your future has been secured before you were even born, then you got no reason to worry. I mean, before the problem even came to your life, God already put a solution to it. Your life, it's fixed. And that's our second step. He tells us it's fixed. It's fixed. And he tells us that he set us apart, or he made a path for you to walk in. But it's your choice to walk in that path. Will you then walk in that path? So that's our second step. It's fixed. Our third step, verse 27, it says here, can all your worries add a single moment to your life? One thing that happens with worry is that worry, it creates fear in you. You get scared when you're not getting what you want. You get scared if you're not seeing the security that you want. Or you get scared you're not seeing the grades that you want. You get scared if that person that you love starts going away and you're starting worrying, starting to have fear. You get scared because maybe some of your jobs, you went to job interviews and they're not calling you back, and you have this type of fear. But what God is telling you here is that, can all your worries add a single moment to your life? By you worrying, will it help to your problem? No. So basically, having fear or having worry, it's useless. It's useless. It doesn't add to the solutions to your problem. It adds to the problem and to your problems. So he's telling us our third step is it's useless. Now we've been talking about set your path for about 3 weeks now. I covered on where worry comes from, how worry happens. I covered on how to combat your worry and what to do in your type of worry. I've been talking about this for 3 whole weeks, and we're going to our first month of talking about this. But even though I've been talking about this week after week, this is the thing. It doesn't stay with you. It doesn't stay. And you get that feeling of worry, or you get that feeling of fear every now and then. Am I right? Those who have been in their finals, you've been worrying, you've been stressing out, you have anxiety. But I've been telling you not to have it. It comes every now and then. And when this happens in your life, this is what God does. He reminds you of what he has already said. When you start worrying, he reminds you of what he has already said. And that's what he does. He repeats what he said. Verse 28, it says here, and why worry about clothing? Look at the lilies of the field, how they grow. They don't work or make their clothing. God's saying here, why worry about your clothing? He said this 3 verses earlier. Verse 25, he says, that is why I tell you not to worry about everyday life, whether you have enough food and drink or enough clothes to wear. God has already said this in verse 25, but why is he saying it 3 verses after? I talked about those clothes 3 weeks ago, but then why is God reminding us 3 weeks after? Why does God remind you of what he has already said? Because it doesn't stay with you. And the reason why it doesn't stay with you, because you haven't been walking in it. You haven't been living in it. And if you don't be living in it, it goes away from you. So he reminds you again, why are you worrying about clothes again? Why are you worrying about clothes again? And clothes, he talks about clothes. Now today, clothes is so important to us. Clothes is so important. Fashion is so important to you. Or what I would say, looks are so important to you. How do I know looks are so important to you? Because when you came just from the Philippines, I seen you all. You didn't care about, your eyebrows. You didn't care about if your face is all, equally toned. You don't care about the highlights be popping. You didn't care if you... So I think in the Philippines, you didn't care about all those things. You don't care if you bought a shirt off the street. You don't care if you're wearing fake Jordans, like the Jordans doing the splits right now. You didn't care. You didn't care about that, and you just wanted to wear that. You didn't care if this is even or whatever. But when you came to Canada, I could tell you, for the girls, all they care about is the eyebrows. Second thing, the highlights and even tone. I don't know about the guys, but what the guys would wear. What the guys wear, I don't know. They want to look swag, get the earring here, and then the tattoo, and walk like this. And you want to give a good look to yourself, a good perception. You want people to perceive you in the right way, because if people perceive you well, you attract more people. So you clothe yourself in a way that makes people perceive you well. But not only do you clothe yourselves with your body, but you also clothe yourselves with your character. When you want to attract this type of crowd, you start clothing yourselves with the type of crowd. You start, talking like them, you start talking like them with the words you wouldn't say in church. You start clothing yourself with how they think. You start thinking like them. When you clothe yourselves with how they act, like you go like what? Like you just clothe yourselves in all of these things so you could attract people. You want to base your look so people will attract to you. It also goes with work. In work, you clothe your character with different ways too. Like, I'm a hardworking person, but in reality, I'm not. But you want to look like you're a hardworking person, so you clothe yourself in that to get a promotion. And that's why God is telling you today, society, in our Western society, fashion is so important. If you're not fashionable, you're not with the in crowd. Especially in Toronto, our standards of fashion is really high. So looks are very important. Clothing is very important. How you clothe yourselves with your body, but also with your character. And that's why God says here, verse 28 to 31, why do you worry? Why worry about your clothing? Look at the lilies of the field, how they grow. They don't work or make their clothing. Yet, Solomon in all of his glory, Solomon in all of his riches was not dressed as beautifully as they are. And if God cares so wonderfully for wildflowers that are here today and thrown into the fire tomorrow, he will certainly care for you. Why do you have so little faith? So, don't worry about these things, saying what will we eat, what will we drink, or what will we wear. Today I want to talk to you about our fourth step. And our fourth step I want to talk to you about, it's given. It's given. Turn to someone next to you. Tell them, all the clothes that you need, it's given. All right, it's given. It's given. For me as a kid, I grew up in Texas. I was born in the United States. Yes, I have Trump as my president. But I was born in the United States. I grew up in Texas. And my parents, they weren't pastors. My parents were dignified people of society. So my mom was a nurse. My dad was a programmer. That means I had a lot of, right? I had a lot of this. I had a lot of opportunities as a kid. I was given a lot of opportunities. I was a spoiled person. I remember one time I had a birthday, and my whole living room was filled of gifts, and I didn't want people to leave before I opened my gifts. I want to open my gifts in front of their face so I could be like, wow. That's how spoiled I was. I was given a good opportunity. And I was given an opportunity to also travel the United States. I've been to most of the 50 states. I don't remember, I was a kid, but my mom told me that we've been in most of the states. And I was given an opportunity to, one time, to go to this place. We were traveling with my cousins. I was given an opportunity one time to go to Six Flags. If you don't know what Six Flags is, it's a theme park. It's like Wonderland, but it's way better than Wonderland. It has crazier rides. So I went to Six Flags around maybe 6 to 7. I went there, and we were in Six Flags, and I was just like, wow. Then I saw this ride that was, those train rides that go around the park and, shows you the park that goes slow, meant for kids. And I'm just like, Mommy, I want to go on the Twain. I want the Twain ride. But my mom's telling me, and my parents are telling me, you don't want to go on that ride. But I'm like, I want to go on the Twain. I told my cousins, I want to go on the Twain. My cousins tell me, you don't want to go on that train ride. You don't want to go, but we end up going to the Twain. And I got into Twain. And we were riding the Twain, and then it was great. I was seeing the whole park, and all of a sudden the Twain started going up, right? And I was just like, maybe I need a better view. So it's going up, it keeps going up, but it kept going up. And as it kept going up, my heart's beating faster, right? I was 6 to 7. I was a tall kid, so they allowed me in the rides. But it was continuing to go up, and my heart's beating faster, and it went to a room. It was really high. It went to a room like this. And I thought it was done, right? Because we're in the room. The ride's over. But little did I know, as I kept going, there was a trap door. And the trap door opened down, and as soon as it opened down, the train went like straight down. And all I can remember is this, "Ooh!" And I was crying, and I was screaming, and I could remember after I was done the train ride, I got a cut on my leg. I didn't know how that happened. And that was my first experience for a roller coaster when I was 6 or 7. Maybe that's the reason why I don't go on roller coasters today. And the youth, when we were JY age, the youth, they would always go to Wonderland every summer, every day and every week, riding the roller coasters. Recently, they've been telling me, hey, you know what? Let's go to Wonderland again. We haven't been there so long. I'm just like, yeah, let's go to Wonderland. And I'm not scared of no rides, right? And it's like, let's go to Wonderland again. But I don't know why you would want to go to Wonderland. I mean, I'm not scared of rides, but I don't know why you would go to Wonderland. Not because of the rides, but because of the line to go on the ride. I questioned Ayla and Sheng, why do you wait so long? Why do you wait hours just to ride a ride that's just 3 minutes? And they're going to say, you know what? Because it's masarap. It feels so good. You get to scream. Not masarap. It's not masarap. But anyways, it feels so masarap. And it's worth the wait. And they're telling me, you should come with us. I'm just like, yeah, I should come. No, because I get motion sick really fast. So Ayla was like, she told me, you know what? You should start with the baby rides. Go on the little carousels, Start with the basics, and start riding the Fly. Is that the Fly, the Batman, something like that? Then start riding the Leviathan. Like, start with the basics and work your way up. Start with the baby rides, then ride the big boy rides. Today, we're going to go back to the basics. We're going back to the basics. And God's talking about clothing. We're going back to the basics of your faith. The reason why we're going into daring faith. But you can't really dare in your faith if you don't have a good faith. So we're going to establish your faith now. We're going to do the basics of your faith. We're going to ride the baby ride of your faith so we can handle the big boy ride of your faith. And God talks about clothing. So that's what we're going to talk about. The first thing we're going to talk about is basic. Basic. Turn to someone next to you. Ask them, are you basic? Basic. Verse 28, it says this. God says, and why worry about your clothing? Why worry about your clothing? If you don't know, clothing is a basic necessity. Human beings, this is what we need: water, food, shelter, and clothing. It's a basic necessity. Basic. But what ends up happening today is that we overreact on something that's so basic. You go OA about your clothing. You go OA about your fashions. So OA. Like, Cheng would tell me, why are you wearing those shoes with that shirt? It doesn't match with you. You shouldn't go out like that. I'm just like, but I want to wear these kind of things. My sister, she wouldn't go out of her house without wearing something nice. I mean, you want the latest Jordans. You don't want Walmart shoes from Payless. You want the most latest Yeezys, you know, and all those nice clothes. You want the ripped jeans, and you go, oh, I can't wear this black pants because it doesn't go with my pastel shirt, and it doesn't go with my shoes. It doesn't match my eyebrows. You know, for my sister, is that the right one? Anyways, you know, for my sister, she bought a $25 wristband, and she bought a $400 outfit to match her $25 wristband. I'm like, what are you doing? And you go so OA about your fashion. You OA something that is so basic. And that's what you do with your everyday life. You OA things that are so basic in your life. You OA because you start overreacting because this guy that you've been loving and that you've been with, he left you. And you start overreacting. Oh, I can't go on with my life. I'm depressed, heartbroken forever. I can't move on with my life. I want to end my life because he left me. And you overreact because of that. You overreact because of your job. Oh, I got this job interview, but they're not calling me back. I'm going to be homeless because I don't have a job. How am I going to pay for this? How am I going to pay for that? How am I going to buy this? Also with your grades. You guys been OA about your grades. I got to study 100 hours just to get a B+. I got to study as hard as I can just to pass this grade. And you start overreacting about your grades. If I don't pass, my parents are going to kill me. They're going to give me to the Philippines. I won't be back here. You start overreacting on something that is so basic. You overreact a guy leaving you, but the basic necessity of you is that you just feel lonely. And you felt that. You filled the loneliness, the gap of your loneliness with that guy. And when that guy left, then you overreact. But your basic necessity was that you felt lonely. Only your loneliness will be filled with God, the comfort of God. I could tell you that personally. You overreact because of your jobs. Oh, I get accepted to this job, or my job, they're not really treating me well. But the basic necessity that you're worrying about is provision. And if you start understanding that God will provide all your needs according to His riches and glory, you don't need to worry about your jobs. You don't need to overreact about it. Also, your grades. You guys overreact on a B+, on a B-. I would love a B-. But you overreact on your grades. You overreact on your grades, but the basic necessity that you're worrying about is security. The higher grades you have, the more secure you feel. And if you start understanding that God has already fixed your life, set your life before you, He gave you the grades, He gave you the future, you don't need to start worrying about that. Stop overreacting on the basic stuff. Turn to someone next to you, tell them, stop being OA. OA about something that's so basic. Verse 28 in the Message, it says this: all this time, all the money wasted on fashion, all your effort wasted on the things that you clothe yourself with. You know what? You OA something that is so basic. He continues on. Do you think that makes much of a difference? You know, when you overreact on fashion, or when you overreact on someone leaving you, when you overreact maybe on jobs or even school, you are having a first world problem. And I think the people in the third world countries, they're not worried about, oh damn, my shoes don't match with my shirt. I don't think that they're worrying about that. So being a first world problem, it's not really a problem. It's not really a problem. Do you think that makes much of a difference? We continue on. Instead of looking at fashions, walk out into the fields and look at the wild flowers. They never prim or shop. but have you ever seen color and design unique like it? Prim. Everyone here say prim. When I first read the verse, I thought it was pimp. And that was kind of weird because the flowers pimp their clothes. That's weird. Okay, but anyways, it's prim. Prim. If you don't know what prim means, prim it means spending time making minor adjustments to one's hair. So you go, doesn't look good here. Gotta put it here. No, doesn't look good here. Gotta put it here. Spending minor adjustments to one's makeup. So oh, this eyebrow doesn't match. Oh, you gotta erase it, and put it back. Spending minor adjustments on your clothes. Oh my gosh, this way or this way, this way or this. And you spend minor adjustments just to look good. But God says here, the flowers, they don't do these minor adjustments, but they are clothed, or they are clothed so wonderfully, and they are clothed with such color and design unique like it's flowers. If you've been to a field, and you just been to a flower field, and you just saw flowers as far as the eye can see, for me, it took my breath away of how beautiful it was. If you haven't experienced this, just close your eyes right now. Everyone close your eyes. Just imagine you're in an open field. The wind is blowing through your hair, and the birds are tweeting beside you, and then you just look, and all you could see is just flowers with different colors, and the sun is shining on your face. And just open your eyes now. Doesn't that really just take your breath away? For me, it takes my breath away. People, they travel all over the world just to look at creation. People go to Niagara Falls and they're just like, wow, water. Wow, water falling down. They travel to Calgary and they see all the mountains and the snow, and they're just like, wow, mountain. And it takes their breath away. They would pay hundreds of dollars just to look at these type of stuff. The Grand Canyon, wow, rock, wow. And then it takes their breath away. For me, it takes my breath away. When I'm on the plane, I see the clouds. Wow, clouds. It takes my breath away. Let me tell you something. When was the last time a person's looks took your breath away? When was the last time? hey. Don't be like, I look in the mirror and down, right? I'm telling you, when was the last time a guy's looks took your breath away? Like, damn. That never. Well, a girl. When was the last time did that even happen in your life? For me, it never happened in my life. I'm not like, oh my gosh. Damn, God. Well, wow. That never happened in my life. But it happens with the flowers. It happens with the water. It happens with the rock. It happens with the most basic things that God has created. The basic things that God has created takes your breath away. And the Bible, it tells us this. The grass, this is the most basic thing that He made. But for us, we are the crown of His creation. We are the greatest thing that He has created. It says this in Genesis chapter 1, verse 27. So God created human beings in His own image. When I think about this, we're created in the image of God. When I think about the image of God and His glory, the Bible says all the heavens, as big as the heavens you can imagine, it can't even contain His glory. His glory can't even be comprehended. And it says here, we're created in His own image. It just makes me feel really great. That's why I'm always pogy. You can't tell me I'm not pogy. I'm created in His image. So I think about this. We're created in His own image. In His image, God created him. God created them. Male and female, He created them. We skip to verse 29. He says this. Then God said, look, I have given you every seed-bearing plant, every plant that bears seeds throughout the earth, and all the fruits of the trees are your food. He's basically telling you that you are ahead of the grass. You are above the grass. You are above the grass. And He says He clothes grass. These basic things that take your breath away. He clothes the things that are so basic with such beauty. What more of you created in His own image? How would He clothe you? When I think about how He clothes us in our shame. He clothes us in our sin. He clothes us in your own character flaws that you have. It says that He clothes us in his righteousness. He puts his own righteousness in our shame. He says he clothes us with his own glory, the glory that you can't even comprehend. He clothes it in your sin. How much more would he clothe you of the things that you need? The basic things that you need, whether it be loneliness, job, provision, security, he would clothe you because it's basic to him. It's basic to him. Verse 29, in the NLT, it says, "Yet Solomon, in all of his glory, was not dressed as beautiful as grass." Grass was more dressed beautifully than Solomon. If you don't know Solomon, Solomon was, the Bible describes it as the most wisest king. But not only the most wisest, but the most richest king. For me, I think Solomon was the richest king in all of history. The reason why I think that is because the gathering nations, all the kings of the other nations, they based how rich they were on Solomon. Solomon set the standard of how a rich king should look like. And Solomon, he's the most richest king, so he's not a basic person. I could just imagine it when he's eating a snack. His table, made of gold. His plate, made of diamonds. His spoon and fork, made of silver, made of gems. And he would eat not some rice, but he would eat something that came from the expensive place. And he's not a basic person. When he went outside, he wouldn't go outside with just normal t-shirt and jeans. This guy would wear a robe, and on that robe, there's gems all over here, and there's diamonds here, bling bling, and he want to look pimp. He just want to look pimp, and sometimes today you guys want to look pimp too. Those guys who wear the Gucci glasses, and they're like, oh damn, I'm so Versace glasses, and damn, I'm so cool. And that's what Solomon was. He wasn't basic. Now, because Solomon, we haven't seen Solomon's riches, the closest thing to Solomon's riches is Bill Gates. Bill Gates today. Now, if you don't know Bill Gates is the richest man on this earth. This one man alone, one guy alone, he is worth $86 billion. One guy is worth $86 billion, meaning that he would earn $140 million a day. That means he would actually earn $166 per minute. If you throw a $100 bill at Bill Gates, he wouldn't care about it because he makes more in a minute than what you're throwing at him. That guy is so rich that he would have to be balling to lose all of his money. He would, like all the cars, Porsche, doesn't matter, Lamborghini, I could buy 10 of those. That mansion, I could buy that. I could imagine he has his own private island, private jet, private helicopter. And that is today our comparison to Solomon. He was that rich. But God says here, verse 29, yet Solomon, or Bill Gates, in all of his riches, in all of his glory, was not dressed as beautiful as the grass. All that money that you could buy, all the Kylie Jenner makeup, you could buy all the PS4s, PS whatever, you could buy all the Nintendo Switch, it doesn't compare to how God dresses the grass. And this is the thing, the basic things that God dresses like, it doesn't compare to what humans dress us like. We think that we need to dress up in such things to make ourselves look good, but the glory that God dresses on you does not even compare to it. Basic. Basic. What you need is basic for God, and He will clothe you in it. Basic. The second thing that I want you to understand today, what we're going to talk about, is belong. Belong. Turn to someone next to you, tell them belong. Belong. Verse 30. And if God cares so wonderfully for the wildflowers that are here today, thrown into the fire tomorrow, He will certainly care for you. Why do you have so little faith? What the verse is saying here is that grass is temporary. Grass is here today, thrown away tomorrow. It's temporary. Yet, God, even though God knew that grass was temporary, He still put the effort to make it something to take your breath away. He still put the effort in something that's going to be thrown away. If I was God, we would be living in such a bad planet. Because I would be like, why would I make the grass green? In the winter, it's going to be brown, so might as well keep it brown the whole day, right? Why should I put leaves on the tree? In the winter, the leaves are just going to fall off, so might as well not grow leaves on the tree. For me, I don't put a lot of effort into something that I'm not going to use. I don't put a lot of effort into something I'm going to throw away. So I took a class in Tyndale Bible School on being a pastor, I took a class on brain and behavior, a science class. What am I taking a class on science? I'm going to be a pastor. As soon as I went into the class, they started saying some words, and I didn't get them. The brain is, that's all I got from it. And I'm just like, why am I taking this class? What am I going to do with the brain in my pastorship? So I was like, I'm going to throw this away. I didn't put a lot of effort into it. So I went into class, every class, late. If you know me, I hate being late. But for that class, I came in late, deliberately. And when I went into the class, I didn't listen to the professor. I watched YouTube. I'm watching YouTube. And when we had tests or assignments, I had an assignment, I literally just wrote whatever, gave it in. I remember one time for an exam, I was in my car. I was sleeping in my car. It was a morning class. I was sleeping in my car because I wanted to be late. So I was sleeping in my car, and I got up. I came to the class. The class was half over, but it was a midterm. And I came into the class late for my midterm. I just wrote whatever, and I handed it in because I knew I don't give effort into something that I will throw away. By the end of the class, I graduated with a D- in that class, as long as I passed, right? Yes, I didn't put a lot of effort. I didn't put a lot of effort into something that I'm not going to use. And sometimes we're like this too. We don't put a lot of effort into something that we're not going to use. Maybe the reason why you don't put a lot of effort into church, because you haven't seen the use of church in your life. So you don't give a lot of effort into it. And you sometimes don't give a lot of effort to people in your life, because you're going to say, these people are going to leave me anyways. Why should I love them anyways? So you don't put a lot of effort into them. But God's not like that. God puts so much effort into something that he knows will be thrown away. He puts so much effort into the grass, that it takes your beauty, takes your breath away. It's so beautiful, it takes your breath away. But grass, it doesn't really belong to God. I mean, like, I don't think God is like, this is my grass. This is my grass. Don't touch my grass. Don't even take my grass away. I don't think God died for the grass. God didn't die for grass. God died for you. You belong to God. You belong to God. In fact, that God wants you to belong to him so badly is that he came down from heaven. He suffered the pain that you suffered. He carried the cross that you were supposed to carry. He went to that cross, be crucified, that was meant for you. And he died a death meant for you. And he rose to life just for you so you could belong to him. You belong to God. Now, if God would clothe grass that's not really belonging to God with such beauty, what more would he clothe you when you belong to him? You belong to him. What more would he provide for you with the things that you need for? That's the second thing, belong. We've been talking about God, the basic things that we need, God could do it. We've been talking about we belong to God. But this third thing that I want you to understand, really want you to take from, is this. The third thing we're going to talk about is you're blind. Turn to someone next to you, tell them, you're blind. You are blind. I'm going to be real about it. You guys are blind. You think I'm not Pogi? You're blind. Like, you guys are blind. You're blind. God tells you, you're blind. Open your eyes. Verse 30 to 31 in the Message, it says this: if God gives such attention to the appearance of wild flowers, most of which are never seen, don't you think he'll attend to you, take pride in you, do his best for you? What I'm trying to do here is to get you to relax. You just gotta relax. Some of you, you've been in your finals. Maybe some of you, you're going through a breakup. Maybe some of you, you've been asking for a job, but you haven't been getting it. God's telling you, relax, relax. It's basic, relax, relax. He continues to tell you not to be so preoccupied with getting so you can respond to God's giving. Getting blinds you. Worry, you start worrying because you're not getting what you want. When you're not getting the grades that you want, you start worrying. When you're not getting the guy or the girl that left you, you start worrying. When you're not getting the security that you want, you start worrying. You start worrying about the getting. And you start worrying about the getting, that it blinds you to God's giving. It blinds you that God has already given it to you. It says, don't be so preoccupied with getting. I need this, I need that, provide for me this, provide for me that. And you're so blind with the getting that it blinds you that it's already given. It blinds you that it's already given. Here's the thing with God. This is how God operates. Little tip for you to make you less stressed. This is how God operates. Sometimes when God wants you to receive something, God would bring you in a way where it seems like He's bringing you further from the promise. He would bring you in a way or difficulty that seems like you're not getting what you're praying for. He would bring you in this way where it seems like, God, why are you bringing me here? I thought you want to bring me over there. For you to receive, He would bring you in this type of way. And sometimes we're blinded by the way God puts us in that we forget His promise. We forget His promise. The Israelites in the Red Sea. When the Israelites were running away from the Egyptians, they just left Egypt. Israelites running away because the Egyptians are about to kill them. And they ran, and God brought them all the way to the Red Sea. And the Red Sea was the problem because they were trapped now. And the Egyptians were coming in, about to kill them. Israelites being like, oh my goodness, we're going to die now. Why did God bring us to the Red Sea? How are we supposed to cross? We're going to die. We shouldn't have left Egypt. And they're so worried and they're so problematic about the way that they lost focus on the promise. The thing that would deliver them from the Egyptians was the thing, that was their problem. The Red Sea was the thing that would deliver them from the Egyptians, but the Israelites saw it as the problem. It's the problem that God uses as the promise. But you won't see the promise if you're so focused on the way that He brought you in. You get blinded by the way, but the promise is just right in front of you. The thing that you thought was the problem was the promise in disguise. That's what you need to understand. That's what you need to understand. Now, I asked Cheng and Ayla this. Why do you wait so long in the line just to ride a roller coaster that's 3 minutes or 5 minutes? Why do you wait hours and hours on the roller coaster, on the line just to ride a roller coaster? And they tell me this. When we get to the roller coaster, it's worth the wait. It's worth the wait. It feels great when you're on the roller coaster. It's worth the wait. And to me, I think they were blinded to the line and only focused on the roller coaster. They weren't worried, oh, this is such a long line. Let's not line up anyways. They lined up, and each step the line took, they continued to go closer to the roller coaster. Some of us, we've been living our lives like this. We're in the waiting line. And we've been so focused about the wait and the problems that come with the wait. We've been so focused at waiting in this line, and as we're waiting in this line, all these problems come up, and all these situations come up, and we've been so focused on the problems of the wait that we lose focus on the promise. That we lose focus on the promise. What you need to do is continue to look at the promise in your wait. Continue to look at the promise in your wait despite the circumstances that's coming at you, despite what they tell about you, despite your current situation right now. Continue to look at the promise, because when you get the promise, it was worth the wait. Here's the thing. Even though you're in the waiting line, that doesn't mean the promise is not given to you. The promise is given to you. All you have to do is wait. And that's our fourth step. Whatever you need and whatever you want, whatever you're praying for, it's given. Our fourth step, it's given. Shall we all stand?